Okay, good evening everyone. Welcome to another round in ACM's Discord series and a return to an old favourite. We have got the 69 minutes of Spa-Francorchamps, and the big twist today is no refuelling allowed. Now, what this is going to mean is that all of the drivers will have to basically start at as much fuel as they can possibly put in their car and then manage their fuel throughout the race so that they can make it across the finish line, hopefully on their own steam. If not, we might see a few drivers being pushed by some of the other ones over the finish line, just because it's good sportsmanship in it. I am Dirg. I am a commentator here at ACM. I'm a driver for a racing team, Shore Cub Blue Shark E Racing. Yeah, I'm here to bring the heat. Not really. I'm here to talk about all the goodness happening on track. Alongside me in the commentary box today is Harry, the founder of ACM, head steward, racing driver. I mean, yeah, he does everything. If he had one of those little things that you see corporate people putting on their desk, it'd be probably the size of Mount Everest. So, Harry, what do you think we should be looking for in this race specifically?
Well, obviously, the cars that are better on fuel, drivers that are able to maintain their fuel better, those will be the ones that will be pushing harder. The Ferrari is an obvious choice for this one. There's not too many, there's not as much as I thought there would be this evening, but that is the one that is best on fuel economy. So those drivers that are able to extract the most out of their cars while saving fuel, they're going to be on top.
Certainly, and yeah, out of the 35 cars, I think there's only 6 of them that are actually Ferraris, which is an interesting thing to see. Lots of BMWs is what I'm noticing. BMWs and McLarens seem to be other popular choices for drivers out there, and I'm not sure whether that's just for the fun factor or if they're also decent on fuel. I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Will say there is one car in particular that I think is a slightly strange choice in the form of the Ford Mustang. I'll probably won't be the first to say, when I think of Mustang, that the first word that comes to mind is not fuel economy. If anything, I think it drinks up fuel like a houseplant that hasn't been watered in days. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, because I've never seen a Mustang in one of these 69-minute series races. Matter of fact, never actually commentated on one of these 69-minute series races, and I don't think there's any better place for me to start my 69 minutes of journey than with a 35-car grid here at one of the world's most brilliant, most historic racing circuits of Spa-Francorchamps.
69-minute series is always a good one for a good grid and a good race. We've had, I think, about 5 or 6 of them now. The last one we did it at Nordschleife about a month ago. And every single time, it's just phenomenal. We get a big grid, it's a varying amount of cars, and it's always a challenge as well. You always get those 5 or 6 drivers and don't just quite make it to the end, and they have to be pushed over the line, and it's both brilliant to see the drivers that are maintaining their fuel and those that are able to push as well. It's a different dynamic, and I think that's why we're able to fill the grid so well.
Definitely, and I would assume that people also probably just click it because haha funny number. On the topic of funny numbers, we've got Landolfi currently in P1 with a qualifying time of a 2:17.5. Probably won't need to say the 2. I don't think any driver is going to be breaking that 2-minute mark anytime soon, unless someone pulls up in an LMP1 car. I mean, even then they might struggle. Oh, never mind. We've got Porshakov, who has now beaten Landolfi to the punch by almost a full second. That is a giant gap. Lots of other drivers now just putting in their laps. I think I'm just seeing Gregorian slip themselves up into 4th place. Just keeping my eye on the grid at the moment, trying to make sure I'm not missing anything. Having to position myself weirdly because my wheel's set up in the middle of my desk and I don't want to disassemble it and reassemble it every time. So I'm just kind of having to lean over in a bit of an awkward spot. But you're not here to talk about me and my bad posture. You're here to watch this lovely racing. Mitchell sets a valid lap. 2:19.6 for him. lots of other drivers who are maybe not pushing as hard, slotting in towards the back. I think some of these drivers are probably just setting a banker lap, not pushing the track limits as much as you probably could, because you've got a lot of drivers that are going to want to push as hard as possible all the time, really just extracting as much as they can from the car and the track. But I think, you know, some drivers will try to have that confidence, might push it a bit far, and not set a single valid lap.
I mean, it is a big grid tonight. The drivers are going to be struggling to find a place to set themselves at best, and hopefully there's not too much overtaking going on, because we do penalise that here, and hopefully there aren't too many incidents that happen. But when 35 cars are on the grid and they're all trying to find a suitable gap, it does happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, even with such a large track, you know, you've got a 2-minute lap time, you've got about 35 cars. If I try and do the maths, that should leave about 3 or 4 seconds. If everyone's evenly spaced, 3 or 4 seconds between each car. My maths is probably wrong, because I haven't done any sort of maths in a long time. We've just seen Ackerman jump up to P2. I've been told to look at the livery and say it's horrible, but I can't see it. And I did sync the liveries, so don't at me. Yeah, no.
I can't see the livery, and I believe I've got DDS shown, so...
Yeah, I've got the non-DDS ones on as well. I'm just gonna try and resync it. Is it worth me leaving and rejoining? Am I gonna miss out on anything?
I mean, you can do.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
I mean, it'll probably let me. I'm just gonna faff about with OBS for a moment. Oh.
Really good times being posted at the top here, especially from the likes of Ackerman and Yuzebi. I mean, getting 217s, almost 216s is no easy feat, especially here at Spa. And I mean, like we were saying about the gap earlier, you've got to find a suitable distance to the car in front, a suitable position on track to set a lap time like that. I mean, any sort of interference, you're going to lose tenths at most.
That's... Oh yeah, Harry, I don't have you at full volume. That's probably why someone in chat is complaining you're quiet. My bad. I'm still quite new to this whole streaming biz. No, I have actually downloaded the livery, apparently. At least it said it's been skipped for some reason. Number 981. Oh yeah, okay, lovely. Nice to meet you here. Yeah, people's liveries are missing. I don't understand why. I have synced the right thing. If I can just have a look at the livery. No, your livery's there. It's showing up with a snail on the side. That reminds me of the film Turbo, which I still haven't watched. No, just other people's liveries aren't showing up properly, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly why it's like that. Because some of these are showing up, and then some of them it just skips. So you know what? I'm gonna stay in, and yeah. Oh boy, I love ACC and it just everything just working all the time. ACC is a flawless game with absolutely zero issues.
Propaganda.
Propaganda. Promise I am not being paid by Kuno Simulazione to say how amazing ACC is. But if you wanted to pay me, you know, my DMs are open. They're not. Do not DM me, or I will orbital strike.
Even if it is Kunos, even if they offer you 1,000.
Well, in that case, I'd be more than happy to promote them. It, you know, depends where you DM me, really.
Looks like most of the grids getting their laps in now. There's only about 10 or so that haven't.
Aye, so those will probably be some of the people who are, I suppose, maybe pushing the track limits just a tad too much. I'm pretty sure a lot of these have actually done laps, but just haven't, done a valid one. We're on board now with Bilanski in the number 114 BMW with a 4/10 improvement to their lap. That slots them up at a P4. Eusebi's not going to be happy with that one, as they're coming through the final corner now, trying to get a really good exit. They've just scraped 3/10 out of nowhere and immediately go up into P2. Very, very good improvement from the Phoenix Imsport driver. Lots of drivers up and down the grid making some decent improvements. On board now with Limpar for HVML Esport team. And a little bit of a train here, which might not be very good through some of these corners. Again, we have a no overtaking rule during qualifying, and I think both the drivers ahead of him are on a valid lap. It looks like we've got fighting going on here, even in quali. And Limpar's definitely not going to want to be held up in this. He's going to be wanting to get that slipstream, and that is an invalid lap for sure. Because he's just went right off the track. There's practically a traffic jam here at the bus stop chicane. The amount of people that are just kind of parked up. Absolutely crazy. Right, so let's go now. On board with Mitchell. The number 891 Aston Martin, looking very nice in red. He's currently up 6/10 on his previous best time. So whether that's him making a mistake somewhere, or if he's just finding more pace in the track, extracting more out of the Aston Martin, I can't tell you. I'm not the one driving. Allegedly, the big thing that the Aston's going to struggle with here is straight line speed, which seems strange because the last time I remember racing an Aston, it basically beat me every time we got onto a straight. But maybe that's just me not being very, very good on corner exit. No bugs, just features. Indeed, there are no such thing as bugs. It's like we're in a Bethesda game. The way that we have so many awesome features in the game. It looks like we have 2 cars that are off at the source. Mitchell coming out the final corner now with a 3/10 improvement. Improves himself up into P16, just ahead of Longo. Let's go on board with Kelly now for Team Phoenix. And I promise I'm not being paid by any of the Phoenix Simsport guys to look at their time. I'm just looking at the improvements of the drivers up and down the grid, making sure that I'm highlighting the ones that look like they're on for a pretty decent lap. On top of that, Dago, who is just ahead of Kelly on the track, has about a second of an improvement. I think that he's actually driving with his teammate just ahead of him. You can see, he nearly loses the back end of the car coming through the flat out section of the track. Probably a little bit of aero wash not helping him. The slipstream is definitely not going to be is definitely going to be helping him. But and there's contact from behind. There's a Beamer that's gone round at the final corner, and that's ruined Kelly's lap. He's not going to be very happy with that one. We've still got a few drivers that are out for some of their laps. Not seeing much improvement from many of them. Kozlovskis has slotted in at P24 with a 2:21.6. On board with Fedorov now in the number 720 McLaren. I believe this is one of the default liveries that you get when you're using the 720S Evo. He's currently got a second and a half on his best time. probably be pulling up my track map occasionally so that I actually know what these corners are called. But I'm just worried that it might ruin the stream a little bit.
I do apologise in advance if I'm a bit quiet tonight. I am doing stewarding on the side, so if I don't speak for a while, that's why.
Yeah, and if I don't speak for a while, it's because I've gotten distracted. Coming across the finish line now is Fedorov. Sorry about the silence there, but with a 1.9 second improvement, goes up to P15. Very solid effort from the McLaren driver there. Let's see who else is on a valid lap. It looks like the only driver left is Docsam, but they're not improving on their lap. So it is ultimately Porshakov on pole with a 2 minute 16.3. We've got Ackerman just behind. I mean, I'd say just behind, but 6/10 isn't exactly a just. Hold on a moment. There we go. Right, we're on the grid now, ready for 69 minutes of Spa. I'd say there are three things to be looking out for here, and Harry, I'm sure you'll agree with me. The first thing is lap 1 incidents. With this many cars that'll be coming through, I think there's 38 cars that are starting this race, and I don't think all 38 are going to be finishing, whether that's because of crashes, which you're probably going to see. A lot of the field's going to be bunched up. Coming through Eau Rouge and Radion, actually, we're probably going to be seeing a lot of cars maybe getting close, and maybe some getting just a little too close. Another thing we probably will want to be looking out for is some of the drivers throughout the field are definitely looking quite quick out there. They're going to want to make overtakes, but they're going to need to be quite careful. Some of these cars aren't as fuel efficient, so it's not the best move always to just push it flat out, because a lot of these cars, I don't think, without some clever fuel management or usage of other engine maps, will be able to make it to the finish line, but we'll just have to wait and see. I swear there was like a third thing that I'd said we need to look out for. There was crashes, there was running out of fuel, and then there was a third thing that I'd mentioned earlier, and it has completely slipped my mind.
Well, here we go. A couple of months back when we were here, we managed to get the famous top of Eau Rouge Radillion GIF that was made.
Yeah, I can see that in the chat at the moment, and yeah, it's not what you want to be seeing happen, but it is an occurrence that can happen. Brilliant thing about this formation lap is we have plenty of time to gossip. Because this track's so long, the formation lap's probably going to take 2 to 3 business days.
It gives a chance to look at the liveries if there are any interesting ones down the grid. I'm sure there is.
Well, Ackerman said that he was running a delivery. I can see it in Awesome Sim Racing. I think it actually looks alright. I understand it's not to everyone's taste, but I think it has a style to it. It kind of reminds me of the ugly Christmas jumpers that you're forced to wear to your work dues when it gets towards the holiday period. Isebi, of course, rocking the livery that they've basically rocked all season. Quite simplistic, but does the job very nicely. I can't tell if Landolfi's livery is an in-game one or if it is a custom one. It looks like it's an in-game one, but I might be blind.
No, that's the
Vesta Sport. I don't remember seeing them as a team in-game, so it might actually be...
Yeah, I believe it is their custom one.
I mean, it is a very, very convincing-looking custom livery, so hats off to whoever made that one. Sorry, Lily, I cannot see your car, but I do appreciate the team name being ACM Google Sheets Racing.
That was made by Tony Shoulders a couple months back.
And I can't... There's a lot of these liveries that I am just not seeing, unfortunately. Balanski we saw earlier in the HVML eSport team BMW. I think there's some other drivers that are running the same livery. I do like that colour combo. It reminds me of the Frickadelli cars that race at the N24. Gregorian, whose livery I can't see. Blanchette running the ACM livery. Of course, gotta get your hats off to that one. Repping the brand. Cipos for... Well, again, they're also with HVML, but they've got their livery on the Aston Martin, which is quite nice looking. Pryor in the classic Aston Martin F1 liveried Aston Martin, which looking very, very nice. Wolf in a car that I can just about make out. Very, very nice looking. I do love the dark purple on that car. Raskazchikov has a brilliant livery, but that's because it's one that was already in the game. Kelly for Phoenix, I think that is just made using the in-game livery editor, so not much for me to say there. Limpar, HVML Esports, lovely looking bimmer. Fedorov, yeah, that's a default livery. Mitchell, also in a default livery. Longo, well, that's made with the in-game livery tool. Dago is in the WRT BMW, of course, repped by Valentino Rossi in the 2023 Intercontinental GT World Challenge. Limam for ST Racing. I'm trying to see if this is custom or in-game. I think this is a custom livery, but I am half blind, so if I get it wrong, Zlatnik in the Team Snail Esports. I like the cartoon snail on the side. It's a nice bit of character. Ekland, WRT. Kurbanov is starting from the pit lane. Kozlovskis, again, a lot of these liveries seem to be default liveries from within the game. As you come further down the grid, you see a lot of drivers just with regular liveries. Romeo, that's a custom one. That looks pretty nice. Amstead is that the old Porsche? That's interesting. Dennings in the GTR. Very interesting choice. Ani Errol in the A1 Motorsports. Very nice looking Honda. Ahmed also in the McLaren Racing. Yeah, everyone else has relatively normal liveries. But we're just going to go now. You know what? Let's do Helicam, because I feel like there's going to be absolute carnage at turn 1, but technically turn 2. We're going to wait as the drivers cross the line. And we're going green here at Spa-Francorchamps. Porshakov isn't going to waste any time trying to defend his first place. Ackerman gets forced ever so slightly wide, and coming through Eau Rouge and Radion, actually, we see a lot of action happening up and down the grid. Lots and lots of shuffling for position. You can't really see through the trees. We've got Porshakov in first place. Lots of cars up and down the grid. I think we have actually had a crash at turn 1. I'm going to go back and we're going to watch this in TV cam, because I think Ani Errol had a bit of an incident. If my game doesn't crash when I try showing this instant replay, I think it has just crashed. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no, never mind. We're running, we're live. Arnie Errol coming through the first turn. It's a little bit messy up and down the grid. They're trying to make a move at the inside of the BMW. They slam into the pit wall. Now you might think they're just regular plastic barricades, but in this game, it is like running into a brick wall. So actually, I don't think there was any contact through Eau Rouge and Radion. I think it was just contact with the barrier. Not all these drivers are going to be following each other like a train for a long time. Probably to save on fuel. It looks like number 52 has had a bit of a spin. Number 6, even further back, seems to be struggling almost as much, having a few spins of their own. But you're not here to watch me talk about people who spun in the past, and click on the replay button as we see Giuseppe goes around the outside of Landolfi coming through the final corner. He's wasted absolutely no time trying to make up some positions. What an absolutely amazing move from the Phoenix Simsport driver. He's probably going to be looking up the inside of Ackerman here. He doesn't. I think he's going to try and stick in the slipstream, maybe try and get a better run through Eau Rouge and Radion, actually. Limam has gotten a drive-through penalty, and that is something that you do not want to be serving here, because I think it is the longest pit lane in the game. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Harry. I'm not particularly sure.
I'm thinking myself. I think it is the longest one in the game.
Yeah, this and Indianapolis are two tracks where you definitely don't want to be making any silly mistakes and getting drive-through penalties.
The one for Limam was for position on start, so I'm just looking at it now, and they were about car's width ahead of the car that we were supposed to be behind, so I think it's very fair.
Right, I'm restarting my race control app because it has just decided to not race control.
In the chat, we've got some support for Berthold. Berthold is the best. Go Berthold.
Well, once I get my race control up and running again, I will try and spectate them, but at the moment I'm having not a fun time trying to run this. Man, imagine if things just worked like first time. Wouldn't that be sick? Yeah, my ACC race controller is bugged again. Oh man. Yeah, it keeps telling me the game client has stopped sending data. It was working fine last time. I don't know what's happening now. Seeing Landolfi make a look up the inside of Giuseppe, who quickly closes that door. Ackerman has gone off the track. Giuseppe's probably looking to make a little bit of a move on Ackerman still. Borshakov has absolutely run away with it. There's at least a 3-second gap now between himself and Ackerman in second place. Excuse me while I try and fix my ACC race control app. just going to try and fix it by returning to garage and hoping that that'll just fix things before I click drive again. So apologies if the stream looks a little bit cluttered. I'm just trying to fix everything on the go. It's not ideal when things don't work. Allow me a moment while I try and fix all of this stuff. Yeah, it keeps telling me that the game client has stopped sending data, so
That's always fun.
What's
I
that?
don't know if it's worth exiting the session and coming back in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to have to do that because it'll interrupt the stream. But tell you what, it'll give me a good chance to. I'm going to set up another scene in my OBS with an image on it, which will hopefully be all right. Give me just a moment. We are going to pause while I try and fix this.
Might not fit exactly, but nah, it's all good. Am I muted?
Right, sorry about that, everyone. Just had some minor technical difficulties. Allow me to just change up everything a little bit. There we go. Okay. I'm going to keep an eye on this battle for P6 because it's looking like things are going to be heating up here. It looks like it could be a 5-way battle. So basically, what it seems like broke it is me trying to do an instant replay. So I will not be able to do any instant replays. I'm just going to have to hope that everything can get caught here on the stream. And if not,
If anything, I'll try and reenact what happened. Crash, bang, wallop.
Yeah, wait, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a little camera. Harry's going to have a bunch of little Hot Wheels cars, and we're just going to have live reenactments of everything that happened in the race. Apologies about the scuffed paused screen as well. I had to. I didn't have it ready beforehand, so I had to improvise a little bit, and things seem to be working now. I'll save that, and everything will just fucking explode on me. But you know. Limpar has managed to pull quite nicely from Pryor. And Wolf in the other Aston Martin is now trying to hound Pryor to get that P9 position. Landolfi has about a 2/10 gap to Ackerman. I'm just trying to figure out where they're going to be going now. See lots of drivers coming through the bus stop chicane. Oh, there might have been a little bit of a squeeze there into turn 1 as Landolfi makes a move past Ackerman, who is probably not going to be very happy about that one. Coming through Eau Rouge and Radion, actually. Ackerman, is he going to get a really good launch on the BMW? It doesn't look like it. I think the BMW is going to pull on him on the straight a little bit, but Ackerman is going to have the benefit of the slipstream. He's going to get back within 3/10 of Landolfi, and he's going to really try and push for position, but that is Landolfi now up to 3rd place. That is into the podium positions for the BMW driver. Have a look now at the 2 HVML cars of Sipos and Balanski, and wow, was that team orders that I just saw there? Because it seems like Sipos pulled over to one side and let Limpar through. Fernando behind is faster than you, and it looks like he's driving a different car. It's good to see the amount of teamwork, the amount of people in these esports teams that have pulled up today, working together as a team to try and pull off. I don't want to say the impossible, but it's certainly not a strategy I would advise doing in a full endurance race.
The thing is, as well with these is, if you've got a driver who's in a car that's maybe not so good on fuel, why battle them? You know, if you can just, if the car behind's better on fuel, you might as well let it through because it'll be able to push more.
Aye, and then the car behind can then use the slipstream, and it might mean they'll have to use less fuel to get the same, if not more, speed in some of the faster parts of the track. So we might have seen some genuine strategy here from HVML eSport team. I mean,
you have a lot of support in the chat for HVML as well.
It's very nice to see the amount of support here. I think that they're playing it very, very well so far. I'm not sure how the Aston or the Bimmer are for fuel, or how they are in terms of the amount of fuel that they consume on a lap, but based on what they've done, you'd have to think the BMW is maybe slightly less thirsty as there's contact between the two at the first corner. That's certainly going to be looked at in a little team meeting. But the man who's going to benefit the most is Wolf, who basically goes past 3 different cars before coming through Eau Rouge and Radion. I would get an instant replay of that, but my ACC would probably crap itself. So the 2 HVML cars ran into each other at turn 1, caused a little bit of a slowdown behind, and Wolf was just there enough to be able to capitalise off of Pryor slowing down, as well as Sipos and Limpar being slowed down by the contact between them, just works his way through and up into P7 for the number 201 Aston Martin. That is something you don't want to see. That's rule number 1 in motorsport, that. Don't hit your teammate. I mean, this battle is not going to be cooling off anytime soon, much like myself, because it is boiling hot in here. Sipos and Limpar are very, very close to one another. I reckon that things are going to start getting a little bit heated between the two, especially after that contact. One of them's definitely going to have a bit of damage. And just to check, pitting is allowed if they need to, right? Like, if they've got damage on their car, they can pit.
They just can't take on fuel.
Right, like, as in, like, the setting is locked, like, you cannot take fuel, or is it like an if you take fuel, you are disqualified?
No, it's like you physically cannot put fuel in. I've glued the fuel tank shut, every single one of them.
Made sure that everyone had as much fuel as they wanted, and then just super glued the fuel caps down. So, no opening those till the end of the race, and you'll probably need a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to clean everything up. I think we've just seen Landolfi and Ackerman have another little bit of a fight here. Ackerman's going to look around the outside at La Source. He's probably going to have a little bit more speed that he can carry out of the corner. As we're looking now, Ackerman is solidly ahead of Landolfi, as that we are coming through Eau Rouge and Radion, actually. There is so much action happening up and down the grid, I feel like I can't keep up with all of it. Oh, as Landolfi's gone wide here at the... Ah, bugger, I've lost the track map. Hold on. You'd think I'd have everything prepared, you'd be wrong. Lecom, that's the one. Oh, man, you'd think I'd be better at commentating this sort of stuff. As someone who has commentator in their repertoire of abilities, but no, you'd be wrong. Let's look back down to the battle for 7th place, with Wolf, who made a brilliant move coming up to Eau Rouge and Radion, and the two HVML eSport cars behind them, who are going to be pushing like mad to try and get that back. And I don't think they're going to be very happy with each other after the contact that they'd made, but... And Romeo has picked up a 10-second penalty. Are we allowed to know what for? Oh, and Lily's also picked up 10 seconds as well.
Yeah, both for minor contacts at the inside and gaining the position because of it on the first lap. Was
that through Eau Rouge and Radion?
It was a little bit later on, actually. It was the start of Sector 2.
Lecom?
I'm not familiar with the name.
The right, left, right after the Kemmel Straight.
Yes.
That's Lecom.
Yeah.
This is why I got the track map up, so I can pretend I've done my homework when I actually haven't. On the topic of homework, we've got another man who's working his way up the grid to try and bring his car home. We've got... Fucking hell, that was so bad. I'm so sorry. We've got Pryor about 2 tenths behind Kelly in the Ferrari, who's probably going to be able to push all the way to the finish, because that Ferrari is so good on fuel. Pryor doing a little bit of rallying in his Aston Martin. That's going to give I'm going to try that again. Raskazchikov. There you go, got it eventually. A little bit of an opportunity. That's closed the gap down just a little bit, but Pryor is keeping it facing the right direction, and that's really all you can hope for. Sipos now looking for a move on Wolf. Looking for a move around the outside of Lecom. Who can brake later? Who can have more confidence on the brake pedal? They're side by side coming through Lecom, but Sipos has the inside line, and they've gotten right back past him. Wolf makes a move at the inside, he's making himself known in his mirrors, but Sipos has now got that position in the HVML Aston Martin. Absolutely brilliant move. Can't fault anything he did there. And if teamwork and strategy is what they're going to be doing, what I'm going to assume is going to happen, Sipos is going to hold Wolf up to try and get Limpar up into P8. And they're going to be working as a team to try and bring everyone up the grid a little bit, which Sipos is probably going to need with a 6-second gap to Belansky ahead in the number 114 BMW. Now I can breathe, I can have a drink finally. And I'll look for the closest gaps up and down the grid. Kozlovskis and Kurbanov are going to be fighting for position here, about 3 tenths between them. When you're this far down the grid, I think a lot of the big way you can gain positions is just by being consistent, keeping your nose clean, not spinning out, and more importantly, not picking up any silly penalties. Ask me how I know. Both cars are fighting tooth and nail, and Kozlovskis has now gotten up the inside. Well, sorry, Kurbanov has gotten up the inside of Kozlovskis. The number 420 McLaren has ceded position to the Ferrari, which has made a move around the outside. Wolf is still right on the back, and Eusebi's in the pit lane.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to refuel. Is he trying to take tyres? Has he got damage? Something must have happened, because he wouldn't pull into the pit lane for something very minor. He's tumbling down the order now. Even more of a reason for Limpar to push as hard as he possibly can to try and gain some positions. Let's look now at Pryor, who is still chasing down Kelly. Even with a 10-second penalty, he's still fighting quite hard. He's going to be probably demoted to, at this point, around P14, but depending on the pace, he might be able to climb a few positions by just being further ahead of the drivers that are behind him, gaining a 10-second gap, which it's going to be hard work in about 45 minutes worth of track action. No, we're seeing a few battles. Lots of cars now are going to be just settling into a bit of a rhythm, just trying to keep themselves facing the right way, making sure that they can finish the race. And I think this is probably the point where a lot of drivers are probably going to start making an attempt to save fuel. We can see Romeo is now looking for a move on Dago. I don't know if it's Romeo or Romeo. I can't tell, because SimGrid doesn't like accents on letters, I think. Unless I'm wrong. The Aston Martin's probably got a really, really good run on the BMW. They're going to be side by side as they come through some of the fastest corners on the grid, coming through Kerpel Frere. The BMW's managed to just hold him off, but that Aston isn't giving up anytime soon. Through Blanchemont and up to the bus stop chicane they go, and it looks like the BMW's just going to hold on for a little bit longer. It's now all going to be about who can get a really good run out of La Source and up through Eau Rouge and Radion, actually, because that's going to be the fastest part of the section. So this corner is a bit of a make or break, getting as close to the wall on the inside as he possibly can, and Dago has nearly lost it at the first corner. He's not going to be very happy with himself about that one. You can see both of them are very, very close. Romeo is now going to have a slightly better run through Eau Rouge and Radion, because he's probably been able to carry it just a little bit more speed. Yep, 1/10 the gap. Is he going to pull out of the slipstream? There's barely anything separating the two. Romeo goes around the outside, but Dago still has that inside line, and he just tucks back in behind the Aston Martin. He knows it's probably the sensible thing to do, to not fight him. And you know what? Props to him for that. And it looks like we've had an off. We've had Ivan Fedorov, who has spun it through Eau Rouge and Radion and has dropped down to a P18. He's probably going to have a bit of damage on that car. Some of the other drivers are going to be moving their way through now. Usaby moves their way up and past them. Even though they're dead last, they're still going to try and make their way back through the grid. And Blanchette now moves up into P18. Man, there is so much happening up and down the grid. I think we'll focus on this battle for P2. Because I do want to focus on everyone, because everyone who's turned up tonight, they're doing a brilliant job keeping everything entertaining. Longo, of course, being I think one of our more new. There's a lot of names in this grid that are very, very new that I've never seen before. Longo has joined ACM recently, and I've seen him at a fair few races. He's a good kid. He's got lots of good spirit. He's got a pretty decent pace as well. And as he's approaching the back of Zlatnik, whether I'm pronouncing that right or not, I don't know, because it would all depend on the accents. But I don't know if Is it the SimGrid entry list that kind of just doesn't like any characters that aren't like ASCII?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that's not the normal.
I try because I don't like putting my real name in, so I always sign myself up as Derg. But then like I have to put in a first name, and I tried using the blank symbol last time, and then it just shows up as like a diamond with a question mark in it, and I'm like, that's not what I typed.
Yeah. But then if you do it on the actual server itself, you can add stars and stuff.
Indeed. I've seen something like that from Phoenix, who've in their league racing, we've seen drivers with a couple stars next to their name. I suppose for championships that they've won, which is cool. Fedorov is pitting. Does he know you're not allowed to fuel? Who knows? I don't know if it's worth pitting in this race, especially because you've got like 69 minutes. You've got a long way to go from. 69 minutes is a long time on any set of tyres, but with good management, you'll be able to make probably last the whole way. I'd want to say.
I mean, it is a long pit lane, like you said as well. So whatever you do, whenever you come into the pit lane, you've lost a lot of time.
Exactly, and I think a lot of these drivers are going to be thinking, is it going to be worth it for me to pit on new tyres? Is it going to be the case that even by losing all of this time in the pit lane, by just by driving through the pit lane in the first place, you're losing a lot of time, but also by actually pitting and stopping for tyres, you're losing about 30 seconds. So losing all that time, which would probably equate to about a full lap, are you going to gain that back in 40 minutes? My brain's telling me it ain't worth it. And it's probably better to just try and tough it out on a set of tyres that can try and last. Longo's got a little bit deep into Lefania. I love pulling up this track map, and because it makes me feel like I really know what I'm doing, but I don't. So lots of the gaps are starting to open up a little bit more. Ackerman has fallen down to P5. It looks like he might have had a little bit of an incident earlier. He is losing a fair bit of time to Balanski in the number 114 BMW. Let's move this battle slightly further forwards to Peter Romeo, the number 113 Aston Martin, the Swiss driver chasing down Raskazchikov. There we go. In the number 202 McLaren. Again, through this section, the biggest challenge is getting a really good run through Eau Rouge and Radion, and then just sticking in the slipstream with the driver ahead. Whether Romeo's actually going to look for a move, or whether he's just going to keep in the slipstream and just hope that McLaren can run out of fuel quicker. I think lifting and coasting is going to be a big thing, but he does have a 15-second penalty, and this will drop him at least a couple of positions. Still fighting for position, as are Eklund and Zlatnik. Zlatnik looking around the outside. Eklund nearly loses it coming into Lecom, but that Team WRT BMW is not going to be giving up anytime soon. Longo's looking for a little move up the inside of Bruxelles. He's looking to hold it. Eklund just holds their line quite nicely. Longo did look for that move, and you know what? I'd have probably done something similar, but he might have lost a little bit of time. He nearly loses the car coming through speakers. This is a very, very intense race that we're watching here for P15. Again, I think what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to showcase lots of awesome battles happening up and down the grid. And Usaby is unlapping himself from Longo. He's going to be trying to work his way back up the grid. I mean, he's already in 32nd place. He's got Markov about 8 seconds ahead of him. This is all going to be a very, very big recovery drive, as Usaby's now going to have a decent run through Curvepool Frere. As Usaby's going to get a little bit boxed in behind Eklund and Zlatnik as they come through. Stavilo now. Usaby goes completely off course, pulling the Max Verstappen line there. Is he going to look for a big move up the inside of the bus stop? Yes, he does. Is that Eklund offering to let him pass? We don't know. Zlatnik has now cut the bus stop. I think he must have missed his braking point there. And he's done the right thing in rejoining where it's safe, but whether he's slowed down enough for the stewards to look the other way is another thing to think about. Longo is now within just a couple tenths of Eklund, and now it's going to be about who can get the best run through these next couple of corners. Longo looks like it nearly loses it coming through the those corners. They're running now on the Kemmel straight. He's lost a bit of time. Eklund is now on the back of Zlatnik, looking up the inside now, coming into Lecombe. Oh, and there's contact! There's contact between the two! Between Zlatnik and Eklund. Longo looks to have kept his nose clean. He's gained 2 positions from that tangle between Zlatnik and Eklund. Did Eklund try and make a move that wasn't really there? Or did Zlatnik turn in on him? I would instant replay, but all of my stuff would crash again, and I'd have to pause the stream again, and it's just this whole thing. So, there we go. Kurbanov, another driver who is pulled in the pit lane, as well as Arnie Errol, Errol in the number 88 Honda has also pulled into the pit lane. So they're going to lose a fair chunk of positions. They might have had damage from their crash early on lap 1 from hitting the magical orange barrier. I have been requested by someone to show the Mustang, but just before I do, here's Max SL, who is looking for a little move on Doxan. He's going to be following him quite closely. You know what? I'm going to do you all a nice little treat. I'm going to wait to see when Walters in the number 15 Mustang gets onto the fast section of the track, because that's when you're going to hear the Mustang at its strongest. Usaby has just set the fastest lap with a 2 minutes 17.8. And because I've been requested to show you the Mustang, here we go. God, isn't that sound just magnificent? A roaring V8 engine that drinks fuel up faster than a man who's been stranded in the desert for 2 weeks and has had to drink nothing but his own you-know-what. It is a brilliant sounding car. Not my type of car to drive, but it is certainly my type of car to get a good gander at. Oh, as it looks like Kozlovskis has had a little bit of an incident on top of Eau Rouge. It looks like he's spun it over the curb. Stanek is going to go flying by. Says, thank you very much, I'll be taking that position. Walter's now just about 10 seconds behind Kozlovskis in the number 420 McLaren, completing the other funny number trio of this race weekend. Oh man, I'm tired, we're only halfway through the race. I'm going to look through and see the gaps. Let's go back to Ackerman. He's probably going to yell at me for not having his livery sorted, but I did press sync and I did check the non-DDL liveries. It just said that this one got skipped. So, sorry. DDS, I mean DDS. That's the one. Now, ideally, you don't want to be riding that yellow sausage curb on the left-hand side because it is likely to unsettle the car. Coming through Eau Rouge and Radion, actually, again, you can see just how much the drivers are cutting that curb on the left-hand side, right at the top. let them carry as much speed as possible out of the Kemmel Straight. There's really only one line through there, and you can only really make a move up there if you have some absolutely gigantic mammoth iron bollocks. So you've really got to commit to a move if you're going to make one through Eau Rouge and Radion. Again, I can't see the livery, but if I was going to try and describe it anyway, I would go back to the analogy of the ugly Christmas jumper that you would be forced to wear at the yeah. Just trying to look through the grid to try to find some battles that are going on. It looks like there aren't actually that many drivers that are battling for position. I'm sorry, I'm incredibly EP. SL now pulls into the pit lane, so they're going to lose a fair chunk of positions. Go to Kozlovskis, who's looking for a move on Stanek. Even after they had that incident through Eau Rouge, they're still battling on. They do have another driver in the McLaren behind them. I believe that is Fedorov, who's trying to unlap himself. If he's going to try and do that, he should try and do that as safely as he can. But if I were him, I would just try and stick with this pack, use their slipstream to the advantage, and Kozlovskis is now looking for a move at the inside of the BMW. He basically just forces him wide and says, this is my line, you're going to deal with it, and forces Stanek a little bit wide. I don't even think that's going to be any sort of question for the stewards. Well, steward, I suppose. Amstead now getting overtaken by Usaby, who is working their way up through the grid. They might struggle as they're working their way up a little bit more, because they've got about 27 seconds to Denning in the number 52 Nissan ahead of them. Now, you don't see this old Porsche very often. I think this is one of the... this might be the oldest Porsche that's in the game, or I'm stupid and I'm wrong, but, you know, what else is new? Fedorov is working his way up through the people who've now pitted. Stanek pulls into the pit lane with damage, giving Walters a free position. Now what? Let's go back to Limpar. That is a Nissan GTR that looks like it's been dragged through a hedge, going wide, letting them through sensibly, I would say. Limpar and Wolf are going to be fighting tooth and nail now, or just say tooth and claw, for position, as Limpar is just going to be trying to pull into that Aston Martin slipstream, and through these corners, the slipstream, well some might call it aero wash, which it is, on the faster parts, probably help Limpar get a little bit closer to that number 201 Aston Martin. He's keeping the gap around half a second now. This is going to be the most important corner on the entire track for Limpar, who's going to be looking to make a little move. He's taking a wider entry. This will let him carry a little bit more speed on the exit. I think we've seen Honda going a little bit wide, as we see Limpar now just a tenth between himself and Wolf coming through Eau Rouge and Radion. He needs a really good run through here if he wants any hope of making a position. We've got a pink Porsche coming out of the pit lane, nearly clouts into the side of Limpar. That's probably going to be a bit of a code brown at the top of the crest there. little bit of dirt kicked up by the Aston Martin, and ultimately that BMW doesn't have the run they need to be able to make that move. I missed it earlier, but Blanchett has moved up into P16, getting past Zlatnik in the number 981 car. There is so much action happening up and down the grid, and I only have one set of eyes to be able to watch this all with, so to see all of these people battling, we've got 34 cars still racing now. It's amazing to see. I think I've had very, very few drivers actually call it a day so far. I think the only ones that have called it a day are probably ones with substantial damage, whose races have been kind of ruined, but the whole point of ACM, you know, don't never give up till that checkered flag flies, because it will negatively impact your pace rating, ACM rating, all that other gubbins. Harry knows more about how it works than I do, so yeah.
What's this?
About ACM rating, like how it is judged.
Yeah, majority of it is your penalty point to lap ratio. There is other factors, of course, that are calculated into it, but you'll see a significant change in it. If you have a lot of laps and you've got very few penalty points, your ACM rating will be quite high. Whereas if you've got a lot of penalty points and very few laps, your ACM rating will be in sort of the lower areas.
Though in a way, it's similar to the LFM safety rating then, in that it well, not really. What's the other thing that LFM does, where it's like it might be ELO, yeah, where if you do more laps, then things will be looked at like you'll lose less of it or something.
Yeah, it's basically trying to encourage cleanliness in racing.
Yeah, and of course to not give up.
Laps.
Yeah,
exactly. We did used to have a safety rating feature where it was it would of course take into account penalty verdicts, but it was also take into account whether or not you finished the race. We don't use it anymore because it never really had a use. It was sort of just an arbitrary number. But it is still available to us if we ever wanted to do it, if we wanted to take it into account.
Indeed. A couple of battles happening up and down the grid, but we've had lots and lots of support in the chat for the HEML esport team, which is always lovely to see. And should we have a quick word from our sponsors just about now? I can do a pretend ad read. I practice in the shower every day, or not.
Let's hear it.
So, first things first, we've got Uplay. They are, I suppose, our title sponsor, really. We have a very, very good relationship with them, and much like other PC gaming key websites, I think they even do keys for console and other platforms as well.
Nintendo Switch as well.
Nintendo Switch, which is brilliant, because I want to get some Switch games for cheap, because they don't go on sale very often. Uplay is a brilliant place to get games and DLC for games for a better price than you can find them on most platforms. So if you're watching this stream and you're thinking, man, I'd love to get into ACC, but everything's just, sim racing's just so expensive, and I can't afford to get the game and all the DLCs that I'll need, don't worry, because Uplay's got your back. You can go to their site, which I think we can link in the chat. Yep, there it is. You can discover Uplay in the chat room, not in the chat room, in the chat right now, and you can get all your favourite games at a nicely discounted price. We're commentating this as Wolf and Limpar are really scrapping for position. Things might get a little bit hairy as we run through Eau Rouge and Radion. The BMW has a really, really good run out of La Source. That is an overtake to be proud of from the number 81 BMW. Just holds their nerve through Eau Rouge and Radion. Wolf thinks better of it, backs off. Hats off to you, Limpar. What a brilliant move. Don't make a brilliant move. We've got Romeo now looking for a move on Kelly. And even if Romeo does get past Kelly, he's going to need to get a 5-second gap to get that position. because with their penalties, it's not exactly going to be, you know, like they're keeping that position. They're definitely going to lose at least a few of those positions to Pryor, Raskazchikov, and Dago behind. I got number 202's name correct right there. So it's like when I get myself into a little flow state. Yeah. Anything else I need to mention other than, you know, joining the Discord and all that other stuff?
No, most of it is just joining the Discord, coming and joining us. Obviously, we run 4 to 5 events a week at the moment, so whenever you're free, you can come and race with us. We've got some events coming up that are at different sort of times as well. Saturday mornings, UTC wise, we'll be doing some of those. So yeah, get yourself in, get yourself racing with us, and of course we've got a lot to offer, so no reason not to.
A lot to offer like this. Brilliant overtake from Romeo on Kelly, who has gone wide, and it looks like he's almost waving Pryor through. The two are going to go side by side as they come through Curve Pour Frere and through Stavelot. Is Pryor going to hold it around the outside of Kelly? There's a little bit of a slide from the Aston Martin. Both of them go off. Pryor has to then tuck back in behind Kelly, who brakes a little bit earlier, and it looks like that Porsche behind. Wow, he swerved out the way to avoid Kelly. Good on him, but he's absolutely ridden over those curbs. Wouldn't be surprised if you get underbody damage in this game from clouting in the curbs as hard as that Porsche just did. Yusubi is back in the pit lane.
Yeah, he had quite a major collision on turn 1 with another car.
Topic of major collision, I think that's Markov, who is now looking at the orange barricade at turn 1. He's going to have to be very, very careful of Denning here, who's made his way past. Errol in the Honda is probably also going to catch up a fair bit. We've got a red Aston Martin here, which I think is Mitchell in the number 891. Markov's got himself going again, and good for him for keeping it going. Ariel has got a stop-go 10-second penalty.
That was for the collision with Ezebi.
Ah.
So it was almost intentional.
Ah.
Yeah. Not what you like to see.
No, definitely not. Still looking through. Let's go look at Dago on the back of Raskazchikov. Ooh, Raskazchikov loses the car a little bit on the exit of Vifania. Coming through Countless Corner and Stavelot now. Oh no! Raskazchikov spun it on the exit, and Dago's basically just ploughed right through him. I mean, he was following quite closely, but that's no excuse for not being able to react to what's around you. As a driver, you're always wanting to look through the corner, but most importantly, keeping an eye on all the cars that are around you is an important skill to be having. And, well, the initial spin from Raskazchikov was not the fault of Andrea Dago in the number 146 Team WRT BMW, but what had happened afterwards, where Dago basically T-boned the McLaren. Think we all know where that's going. We're seeing Blanchett now in the ACM Ferrari looking for a move on Longo, who is going to defend into the stop chicane. Blanchett's going to aim to probably get a little bit of a better exit and try and undercut him on the exit of the corner. Coming through turn 1 now. Both having a relatively decent run. God, why am I so tired? It's not like I do anything all day, and it looks like there's been an off for another car. Can't tell who it is. It's the number 9 of Turbinov. who has had a bit of an incident through Stavelot, and is it Stavelot? Blanchemont. Stavelot's a different corner. See, even though I've got a track map up, I keep getting confused with the corner names. But hold on. Here's Belanski, who's looking for a move on Lily, who's currently holding 3rd place. HVML eSport team looking very, very solid. I think their drivers are, or that they're, yeah, they've got P4 on lockdown. They've got P6 as well. I think they also are the car that is in 2nd place. I don't really want to swap away from the action, but I will. I was wrong. Okay, they don't have 2nd place. It's hard for me to keep track of this many drivers. Looks like they're actually being caught up behind a different car. That is a McLaren that they're caught up behind. Is that a McLaren that they are trying to lap? They're going to have to let them by on the Kemmel Straight. Or I would say it would be the sensible thing for them to do, to let them by on the Kemmel Straight. But it looks like... well, I don't know if they can see the blue flag or not. But this is definitely going to help Ackerman in his pursuit of P4. I'll look back through the... Sipos is the other driver who's unfortunately in the pit lane. I think they have they've had some sort of collision earlier on, and they've come into the pit lane and they are repairing their car. Let's go back a little bit. We've got Wolf and Romeo now looking to fight a little bit. The 2 Aston Martins. The Aston Martin, another car choice that I feel like we've actually seen a lot of, and I'm not sure how it is for fuel, but it is definitely a really decent car to drive. Even from my experience, it is a very, very, very nice car, very stable platform. Especially if you're new to ACC, it's definitely one of the top cars that I'd say a driver who's just trying out ACC for the first time. Probably a car that they should be definitely looking into. As they approach the back of a Honda, which is very slow, doesn't have enough time to go around him. Wolf has now gone off. Romeo's going to have that there. Oh, that's a very, very strange incident of the Honda of Errol, who has now been hit one more time, like their name was Britney Spears, and now they're going to be limping. They're probably limping their way back to the pit lane to try and hold themselves back up. Topic of holding people up, we've got Blanchette looking up the inside of Longo. The two are side by side coming through Double Gauche. There's barely enough room for Blanchette. There's barely enough room for Longo either. The two are keeping it nice and respectful. Longo's going to look for a move up the inside, and that is probably too much of a look up the inside, as Longo looks like he's spun Blanchette around, who does get going again. But Longo's definitely not going to be happy with that one. Zlatnik has now gotten himself up to P14. Again, big benefit of these sorts of things, of a very good feature to have as a driver, is the ability to just keep your nose clean, keep your way out of incidents, and you'll find yourself making up positions like Zlatnik has by just continuing on, doing their own race, maintaining a solid pace, trying to keep themselves clean. They've gained 2 positions from that little tangle with Longo and Blanchette. I'm looking back through the grid, trying to find some really, really nice action. Let's go back to the front with HVML Esports as Bilanski in the number 114 BMW M4. Now, I do have a mate of mine who's driven one of these in real life to relatively decent success. So, if he's anything to go by, these cars, the M4s, very, very solid cars to pick for for a GT3 car. I haven't driven it much personally, but I do know it's a very solid pick around most tracks. Blanchke is going to look for a little move on Lily through this very, very fast section of track. The amount of downforce that Ferrari has, basically able to just take all the corners flat like an F1 car, while Blanchke is going to have that aero wash from being behind Lily, who does have a 10-second penalty. So either way, Blanchke is going to be able to get themselves up into P3. But it's probably going to feel a little bit better for them if they can get that P3 on their own merit by making an overtake on Lily, who may or may not be holding them up a little bit. Not a great exit out of the... Well, actually, a decent exit out of the source, and if they can keep their run through Eau Rouge and Radion relatively clean, might be able to have a little bit of a run on Lily coming down the Kemmel straight, 3/10 the gap, and it's going to be quickly closing as Blanchke's going to have a decent slipstream ahead. Gap's decreased to 2/10. He's getting ever closer. Lily defends to the inside. And yeah, they've covered off Blanchke with a quick little dart to the inside, letting them know Lily's very aware that Blanchke's behind and is challenging. Blanchke is looking for moves at almost every corner, trying to let that Ferrari know that he's in their mirrors and he's going to be trying to get past them as soon as they possibly can. Wolf has now come into the pit lane. I suppose that contact with the lapped Honda has put them down with some damage. I can see... I did see a yellow flag for just a moment, but might just be blind. Userby seems to still be in the pit lane, so have they just called it quits for this race? I would assume so. Doxan has also come into the pit lane, gifting Denning in the number 52 GTR P27. Wolf is tumbling down the order with their pit stop for damages, really taking a big chunk of time out of them. Blanchke is sticking behind Lily very, very nicely. 2/10 is the gap as they approach the bus stop chicane. They look to be a little bit more confident on the brakes. They look for a move around the outside. This is going to compromise their run to La Source, as that gap's going to open up a little bit. There's the Mustang getting lapped by both Lily and Blanchke. He's going to have to slow down enough to let them both by La Source. Leaves both of them plenty of room. Very, very respectful driver under blue flags. Blanchke now making a half-decent exit out of La Source. It's going to be another almost drag race up the Kemmel Straight. You can just see how much these drivers are pushing their car, the absolute limits through Eau Rouge and Radion. The aero wash is certainly not going to be helping that BMW, but the slipstream coming up to Le Com is definitely going to help. Lily defends to the inside again, and under the braking, both of the cars in the same position that they were in. Lily is aware that Blanchke's right behind them. Blanchke is making sure Lily is aware by continually pulling out from behind the car, getting in their mirrors. Just really, really putting them under pressure for the last 10 minutes of this race, and this is where things are probably going to start getting a little bit spicy. Not because of any particular battles up and down the grid, but because of fuel. Fuel is going to play a big factor, and I'm not sure how I'm meant to see how much fuel each driver has short of pulling up their actual heads-up display. But I suppose we'll be able to see at the end of the race.
I don't even know if that'd work.
Well, if I put up basic, it'll tell me how much fuel I've got left in their tank.
Oh, I never knew that.
So if let's go to Blanchke and have a look. It doesn't actually show me that. I lied to you. I'm sorry. It doesn't actually show me how much fuel they've got. Okay, well, I tried. Can I swap to the driver cam? I cannot actually see how much fuel they have in the car. Well, I gave it a go, and they don't. It's not a thing that I can do, unfortunately. Lack of features in the game. I think what would be a really good angle. Lily's wing. We can just see how they're going to defend from Belansky as they have a run up to Lecom. Oh, Belansky's approaching. That big pig-nosed BMW is going to get up the inside. Lily is giving them the squeeze. Coming into Lecom. Lily's line's going to be a little bit compromised. Belansky is right behind them. Lily's just managed to hold on, but you can see just how desperately they're defending the position. Even though this isn't technically the position, with that 10-second penalty that they've been given, well, they're not going to be maintaining 10th place for 3rd place for at the end of the race. Well, it is for position on track. It isn't going to be for position overall. But this fight between Lily and Belansky is certainly hotting up, and it is something I'm really liking to watch here. This is really the only battle that's happening up and down the grid, I suppose. I mean, yeah, there is this fight for P3, but it's not. It is only for on-track P3. This is really just for. I don't want to say it's an ego battle, but really, Lily's position on track isn't going to translate to a position when the race finishes. And given that Eusebi's in the chat room, I'm just going to assume they've called it quits for the night. I suppose after a race with as many incidents as they've had. Oh, it looks like this lapped car here, which I think is actually Turbinov, has held up Lily a little bit. There's a bit of contact coming out of the bus stop chicane. Turbinov needs to go a little bit wide here to let them pass. It's nearly 3 wide as we come through La Source. Hopefully Turbinov's not going to try and look for a move on Belansky, because they are not on the same lap. But yeah, Belansky and Lily were side by side for a moment there. 3/10 now is the gap. We're going to go back on the wing of Lily, who is definitely going to be defending very, very hard from Belansky in the HVCM Esports team car, who is again letting himself be known in Lily's mirrors, but Lily isn't letting themselves get shaken like that. Don't know why it defaulted to helicam there. That's not what I wanted. Coming through Bruxelles, the two again. They are practically inseparable with how close the two of them are together. And yeah, just looking through the race control grid, there isn't really any other battle happening for position on track. I think the most spice that's going to happen is from fuel running out. Belansky looked for a move there, couldn't make it stick because that Ferrari just has so much more aero coming through that corner. Like, everywhere really. The Ferrari is very, very built for downforce, but it does kind of struggle in the top end, which is where the BMW then comes into play. We are coming through Stavelot now, onto the Curb Paul Frere. Again, a 10th is the gap between Lily and Belansky, and you can just see how close they are getting to each other. Barely inseparable. You can hear just a little lift from Lily. Belansky's looking for a move around the outside, but that's not going to stick. They're going to have to wait it out just a little bit longer, and probably just wait to have a really good run. This is a very solid battle for position that we're seeing here. come back on board with, not on board, but we're going to be watching Belansky get a decent run out of La Source. And you want to use all of the exit that you possibly can without running onto the sausage curb on the left, because it can and most likely will unsettle the car. I think Lily might just have a slightly better run through Eau Rouge and Radion actually than Belansky did, and you can see even with the slipstream, Belansky is roughly staying the same distance behind Lily that they were before. Under braking, they're getting closer, Are they gonna be close enough to try and make a move? No, they are not. Oh man, this is one hell of a battle that we're seeing. Neither driver is giving even an inch between them. It is so close between Lily and Belansky. He's looking for a little bit of a move. Lily looks to be covering it off. There might be a tiny gap that Belansky can work their way through, but through Lefania, he can do nothing but just tuck back in behind. And now Lily's going to make a reasonable move. And the leader has now gone on to the final lap of the race, so hopefully most people's strategies will actually be, this will play into most people's hands, in the way that if maybe the leader had done another lap, there might have been time for one more lap, which might mean that some of these drivers won't have calculated it, like some of the Formula E races, will end up doing one more lap than they expect. You have a lot of drama, lots of shifts of positions because people haven't fueled up their cars enough. Really, this is one of the only real fights that are happening. Belansky seems to be backing off just a little bit, or at least they were, and now they've got a pretty alright run through La Source. They're going to be right on the back end of Lily. Not as close as they were. If they wanted to make a move, this would be where they'd want to make it. This is the last lap, the last chance that they'll have going around this lovely, wonderful track. I'm keeping my eye on where the leader is as well, just so that I can congratulate them properly. But the leader has also gotten a 5-second penalty. Belansky has misjudged the braking zone coming into Lacombe, which is a little bit unfortunate. Pryor also makes a move on Romeo for position. Kelly now also making a move. Is Romeo running out of fuel? It looks like we might have our first driver with very, very little fuel to go. Look at how slow he's going down the Camel Straight. I don't think he's going to make it to the end. I think he's going to get passed by a lot of different drivers. Another driver who's wanting to make some passes of his own is Belansky. Looking for a move up the inside of Lefania on Lily. That's not going to work though. We'll get back to this battle in just a moment, but I have to congratulate our winner, who by a margin of around 6 seconds, even with a 5-second penalty, comes across the line, wins here at Spa-Francorchamps. Andrei Porshakov wins here at the lovely Belgian circuit after completing 30 laps. They're able to finish just ahead of Landolfi, and even with this this penalty applied, Porshakov still stays ahead of Landolfi. And coming into the bus stop chicane, the battle for third has been long fought, hard fought, but ultimately the driver who comes out on top is going to be Lily, who sweeps up P3. Belansky in the BMW getting 4th place. Ackerman in the McLaren that I could not see the livery of today, scraping up 5th. Limper, another HVML esports team member, getting 6th place. A little bit further back, we've got Pryor working their way through the faster sector of the track. who looks like they'll be able to get their way up into 7th place and will be staying there. Very, very solid run from him. Kelly sweeps up 8th place. And with Dago just behind him. Also with a 10-second penalty in P9. Romeo, who I thought would have run out of fuel, he is driving very, very conservatively. I don't know how much he's got left in his tank, but he's probably going to need to, push himself forward in his seat a little bit to try and get that car across the line. He's got Mitchell just behind him, and it looks like he's just crossed the line. A pickup P10. Mitchell picks up 11th place. Raskazchikov is coming across the line for P12. Blanchett in 13th. Zlatnik with a very, very solid run to get P14. Longo in 15th position. The other cars fighting behind are Mardovi and Fedorov, who both pick up positions on Amstead. And that, well, I don't even know what happened there, but that looks like it was a bit of contact after the line, which might be worth looking into. And the last driver that we're going to watch across the line is Matt Denning, who has finished in... it says 21st place, but I don't think that's right. They've done a very, very solid job at bringing that now floating Nissan GTR to the finish. It has been an absolutely lovely race, with Porshakov ultimately coming out on top. Harry, any thoughts on that race? What are your opinions?
There was the majority of the race that I saw was just contacts, but no, overall, very well done to the guys at the top especially. We didn't see as many people running out of fuel this time. There was some people fuel saving, as we'd expect, but it's not as much as we've seen previously, so I think on that side of things people were fairly okay.
Yep. So, running back down the top 10 after penalties, we've got Porshakov, Landolfi, Belansky, Ackerman, Lilly, Limpar, Pryor, Kelly, Dago, and Mitchell rounds off the top 10. Whew. I'm tired after all that racing, and I'm sure that we'll have more exciting racing action coming up over the next few days. Harry, tell the lovely people at home what we've got lined up.
So Sunday, we've got the Sunday series. That is a 7-round Sunday. It's a 75-minute race at Misano this week. We've got a grid of, well, there's 56 signed up, but I think quite a lot of signing out recently. I think quite a lot of people are on holiday and stuff. So that's on Sunday. On Tuesday, we've got the Ginettas. We're going for a version 3 of the Ginetta Challenge. It's at the Red Bull Ring. It's also in the rain. Wednesday, mini endurance. So that's I think it's 100 or it might be a 180-minute race this time round at Silverstone. So if you fancy coming and joining us for that one, then you've got that on Wednesday. It's the same time as this evening. So if this was a good time for you, get in our Discord, see what we've got going on. We've got pretty much 3 or 4 races a week. So yeah.
Plenty of action lined up, and one more quick word. We've got join the Discord in our little Twitch chat. So come along, do a couple races, have a bit of fun. Because at the end of the day, that's what sim racing is all about. It's about the community, the connection, and well, I guess more importantly, the racing. As well as that, big shout outs to our title sponsor, Uplay. If you want to get cheap games for PC, Nintendo Switch, consoles in general, anything you want, you can get it on Uplay. So
for about 90% off as well. So why not?
Yeah, exactly. And with discounts that good, it's like you're constantly in a Steam summer sale. So no reason not to check them out when you've got discounts that are very, very nice. And if you think of getting a sim racing, Uplay is probably your best bet if you want to pick up some really, really nice deals on lots of different games. ACC's, of course, the big one, but you can also get good deals on games like Assetto Corsa. Do they have Automobilista 2 on there as well? Is that a thing they have on Uplay?
It will be on there, yeah.
Well, yeah. If I can name the game, it's probably on there. But you can always check out their website, which I am going to link in the chat. There we go. So, Discover Uplay, best website to get the best deals, hottest updates in the gaming industry. Check them out at the link in the chat. I think that's all from me.
Yep.
Any other closing notes?
No, that's it. Just come and join us in the Discord. Come and join us for the next one. And thank you for watching.
Yep, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.